to Sovereign Conversations with the Soul Attorney, the podcast where law, leadership, and liberation collide. I'm your host, Vanessa Lo-Cicero, lawyer, entrepreneur, energy worker, and your guide to building a business and life that's truly sovereign. Here, we challenge the status quo, outdated business rules, and explore what it really means to be sovereign in your life and work. Whether we're breaking down legal essentials, tapping into spiritual downloads and the power of intention, or we're having deep, unfiltered conversations with visionary entrepreneurs, healers, and thought leaders, every episode is designed to help you step into your power, protect what matters, and create your life on your own terms. So if you're ready to create a life and business rooted in belief, power, and purpose, take a deep breath, step into your sovereignty, because court is now in session. Oh, 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 oh. Hello and welcome to this episode of Sovereign Conversations with the Soul Attorney. I am your host, Vanessa Lo-Cicero, and today we're going to be talking about the power of breaking free from traditional business rules. So I don't know about you, but I started my business so that I could have freedom to not have anyone tell me where to be, when to be, how to live my life. And something that I have learned after now being in business for a couple of years on my own is that some of those old 9-to-5 habits start to come back out of the woodwork and make themselves known in our lives, even when we're operating as entrepreneurs. So my question to you is who decided that, success means grinding for 80 hours a week? And that you have to price your offers and structure things and sell things the way that it's being done in your industry because that's what everyone else is doing. The ideas of shoulds, right, in business are just as powerful as shoulds in other areas of our lives, whether it be personal or in our family. So like I said, my question is, who's making these rules? And I feel like it's not me. It's not you. So where are these rules coming from? And why are we getting trapped in these invisible cages and these things that are other people's expectations or guidelines that we are, getting stuck in? So today I'm going to call bullshit on some traditional business rules that keep you stuck in a mindset of structure and formality that might not be in alignment with actually how you want to run your business. I'm going to show you some actionable, tangible steps that you can take to actually set free from some of those, things and the shoulds that are holding you down. I once had a therapist tell me, don't should all over yourself. And I don't care if I've repeated myself in bringing that up because it's so true. We do this to ourselves. And when I think about what sovereignty means to me in life, in my business, it means writing my own rules of my business. If I was a sovereign country and a sovereign state, I would be writing my own rules. That's what laws are. So, sovereignty means writing your own damn rule book. It means putting all of those things in position in a way that aligns with what works for you. So I want to kind of share a little bit about my story with you, some of the things that led me here to realize that not only was my life not in alignment because I was following rules and expectations of other people, but then as I actually started my business also fell into the same trap. So, out of law school, starting in a law firm, 9-to-5 process, that was the traditional, path out of law school. Doing OCIs in your second year, on campus interviews with law firms, and trying to secure your articling job as soon as possible out the gate. So there definitely was a bit of a traditional path. And I remember, you know, after I had been in practice, even for just 2 years, 3 years, kind of in the year just before the pandemic. And it's always so funny how, like, if it wasn't for the pandemic, so many different things would have not been able to materialize, strictly because of like how much the legal profession had to fast forward into the technology age with the pandemic. So there was a part of me, like in 2019, even before, like I said, the pandemic hit, that was like thinking to myself, like, this isn't it. Like, this can't be it. Like, I didn't go through everything that I went through just to find myself like stuck in another office building on, you know, the whatever floor of the whatever building in the whatever cubicle of an office working for the man. Like, that to me, at a certain point was something that I just couldn't handle. And there were other things that were going on in my life from like a health perspective that I needed some time. And, you know, I didn't feel comfortable and I didn't feel in a position where I could take the time that I needed. And that just made me think like, you know, fuck having to report my life to someone else. Like, if I needed to take a day or if I needed to take time, the idea that I had to like ask for permission as an adult was just like, it was like nails on a chalkboard in my soul. So I started to think like, what are some other ways that this can be done and that I can use my skill set and what I've gone to school for to actually create a life that where I don't have to ask anybody for permission. So that was kind of the beginnings of my realization that not only did I need to practice law, but I was going to have to become something else. And I didn't know what the word entrepreneur really was all about. And I didn't really know a lot of, you know, solo business owners. Even then, I was working in a different area of law, working in civil litigation. So yeah, I started to learn about entrepreneurship, online business, marketing, offers, structures, sales, and the legal side of business from a practical standpoint, because I'd only ever engaged with it from like the academic side and from the litigation side, helping people navigate problems that arose because they didn't, you know, have things in place, or because somebody, you know, there's so many situations, like there's not even you know, to go into the hypotheticals, but realizing that I needed to be more than a lawyer, that I needed to become this new thing in order to have a whole new skill set to create a business that would sustain me and my life and my and the business and the growth behind it. So when I decided to pivot and break away from just working at law firms and start my own practice, that's when I really also started to see that, hey, this structure, the way legal services have been sold to the public, even that structure, even though I have my own business, there's still the structure of the billable hour and the retainer and, you know, a lot of the regulatory restrictions that lawyers are bound by in terms of, you know, we have to stay within our rules of professional conduct and all the ethics, and that's for good reason. But it is a box. There are things that are inside the box that are permitted, and there are things that, you know, outside the box that are not permitted. And so even from that perspective, realizing that legal services were affordable to a certain segment of the population that can afford an hourly rate and afford retainers, to give to lawyers and trust to work on files. And then there's the segment of the population that is able to access legal aid. And then there's everybody else in between who is, not yet in a position to be able to get everything custom and bespoke from a lawyer when they're just starting a business, but still need to have that legal protection and the legal, backbone foundation under their business. So, I started to see like there's got to be another way that we can structure, that we can, offer legal support, legal education, legal strategies and tools to people in the marketplace who are not being served by the traditional legal model. And, something that I am very passionate about from my days in law school is this thing called access to justice. And it's like incumbent upon all lawyers to do what they can in their own way to facilitate a greater level of access to justice in the community, because it's been, proven and it's been shown by studies across Canada that, a lot of people are not accessing legal services and getting legal support in the ways that they need to in life. So with that in mind, that's why I created Soul Attorney, because there was a area and a market that I wanted to be able to serve and to deliver legal education, support, and knowledge to people who need it. And so that was my attempt at like breaking free from the initial business mold of traditional law. And that kind of leads me into, some of the ways that I choose to run my practice in maybe a non-traditional way in terms of, the hours that I set, or, different industry trends that I choose not to follow. So this is a perfect time to just take a quick pause and have a little message from our sponsor. This episode is brought to you by Lo Cicero Legal Professional Corporation, where legal strategy meets business empowerment. If you're an entrepreneur, business owner, or visionary, you already know building something great requires legal protection. Whether you're incorporating, bringing on a business partner, drafting contracts that actually hold up, or planning for the future with a rock-solid estate plan, this is where you get the legal solutions designed for entrepreneurs who think differently. At Lo Cicero Legal, I cut through the legal noise to give you clear, actionable solutions that are aligned with what you actually want, because protecting your business and legacy shouldn't feel overwhelming. If you're ready to get legally empowered and you're in Ontario, book a free 15-minute consultation at www.locicerolegal.com. Now, back to this week's episode. And we're back. So thanks so much for listening to that little message. I'm so excited to dive into this section of the podcast now, because talking about, business rules that you need to let go of, the shoulds that you have to stop letting run your life. These are my, 3 biggest business rules that we need to collectively agree to set aside. Because there are rules that we've been following in our businesses that are keeping us shackled, that are rules that we've created for ourselves. So, if you want to create that true freedom, you have to be able to let go of some of these. And I know it's hard because we come from this, like, what if, a lot of the time, especially when you're launching a business, it's very fear-based. You're like so unsure, like, where am I going to get clients? Where are these people going to come from? But the first rule that we need to set aside is that you have to be working 24/7 in order to be successful as an entrepreneur. It's the biggest lie, because, this is a marathon, not a sprint. And you need to put yourself in a position to go the distance. And there's only so much energy in your cup to go around. And as someone who's experienced burnout on a number of occasions, it is not necessary. It's not a badge of honor. It's not something that makes you like cooler or more worthy than anyone. Like it just makes you feel like a prisoner in your own schedule of your own making. And so something that really helped me that might be helpful for you in, setting that mindset aside that if I'm not working, I'm not worthy. I'm not going to be successful if I'm not grinding, if I'm not utilizing every moment. There is value in rest. So make sure that you actually, set non-negotiable boundaries around time. Choose your work hours and be super specific with people and stick to them. And if you stick to them, it will let others know that, by your actions that you're not available. So for example, like my phone goes on DND. I think it's at like 7:30 or 8 p.m. every night. And if you message me after that, if I check and I get back to it, like you're lucky because I'm in bed early. I'm an early riser. So I have boundaries around my time and my business. And so that's a really great way to, make sure that you're not being bothered by work notifications when you're outside of work. And something that has really helped me is to like turn off those notifications. I know, some people love that like, dopamine hit of getting a new notification. But to me, it was kind of anxiety provoking to always hear my emails going off. So I turned them off and I check them when I check them. And I actually put an auto responder on that says, this is when I'm in and this is when I'm checking so that people can be aware, if I have a boundary or I'm not available because I'm running two businesses. So I can't always be available for one business 24/7 if I got to put some energy into my other business. So that's like, the first rule, those boundaries about your work time. And with that in mind, it's like the next step too is like automate, delegate, eliminate, get rid of what doesn't actually make you money, 80/20, and get your systems and your SOPs and your processes ironed out so that you can, automate them and delegate them in the best way possible. There's so many options with like software and different, help and support and VAs that will take a lot of those things off your plate. Like for me, admin is one of those things that it's like so draining to do. So when I have someone helping me with that, I feel like a butterfly. Like I have so much free energy to create and do other things. So that's a huge, huge needle mover in your business. Another thing that is like the next rule, I would say that we need to like let go of. Okay, rule number 2, we're done. So first of all, we're done with the idea, like we said, that you have to work 24/7 to be successful. The next one that I also want to let go of is the fact that you actually need to like follow what people are doing in the industry, like trends, what's proven to be successful. Because people are always like, oh yeah, that's just the way it's done. As a lawyer, like that's just the way it's done, in traditional law. And okay, like I get it. That's the way it's done. But like we are living in the future right now. So let's try and think outside the box with some creative solutions to problems. So that's just one thing, that it's very hard to do. It is a very strong belief that you don't want to be an outlier. It's very fear-based. You don't want to, show just how outside the box you are, outside the norm you are, because you think people aren't going to take you seriously. Listen, I've been there. This has been my ongoing struggle and like journey ever since I started Soul Attorney and started talking about some of these things that are not what a traditional lawyer would talk about on a podcast. or in my content or work with my clients to do, it's really hard to let your freak flag fly. And sometimes that is the exact way to be a vanguard, to be at the front, to be a trailblazer. And I've had so many people tell me like, oh, their journeys of transformation, and, maybe like one word I said or like something here or there was like the spark that triggered that pivot for them, and a deep thought or a conversation with someone else. And if I hadn't let my weirdness out of the closet, like that would never have come out, and those beautiful moments would never have happened for people. So like what really worked for me and how I started to like break the fear-based response around like staying small is because it felt like shit to stay small. Every time someone told me to stay in my lawyer box, it made me like viscerally angry. Like, that is not alignment. Alignment for me is being able to express who I am, all parts of me, like a flower that is blooming and is the essence of the flower. So I'm not going to, allow society or my own fear to allow me to not bloom as the full flower that I am, like according to the universe, right? Like we're all beautiful in our own way. So if this is a part of me that wants to bloom, like let it bloom. And I'm going to allow that. And I'm going to stop asking, like, what are other people doing? And literally, like, I have a coach, and Kelly, God bless you. Like, she's going to be a guest on the show coming up. And she suggested something early on when we started working together that was like, stop following other people in your industry. Stop comparing yourself, comparing your content, comparing what you're doing to what your, friends and competitors and colleagues in your industry are doing, because it's not serving you necessarily if you're the kind of person who likes to compare or likes to like, ooh, I should wait and see what everyone else is doing. Like, stop. Like, I don't need to, like, I love all my lawyer friends. And I'm sorry if you guys have seen like lowered engagement on social lately. It's because I just stopped following other people's content that was like making me compare and making me feel like I needed to be more like them. Whereas, kind of being very specific about the content that I take in has allowed me to be more of myself and like lessen that fear that I need to fit in and make myself small and make myself the same as everyone else. So that is like a really key rule and how to break that. So we're not interested in what everyone else is doing. It's about intuitively coming into alignment with, what do you want to express about your niche? What is it that you want to help people understand or know or inspire them to do? That's what you want to talk about. Okay. And like with that in mind, the last rule that I think is also bullshit that we need to get rid of in business, because it's like, it's just not true that you have to appeal to everyone to be successful. This is the fastest way to dilute your power. And it's so true. If you try and serve everyone, then your message is going to get lost. And the people you need to talk to, who need to hear your message, are not going to hear you. It is so true. And it is also so hard to do because it requires faith. It requires you to know that when you speak and when you appeal to your ideal clients and the people who are your dream, clients, you are not going to be for everyone. And something that like some of the most successful brands have is this polarizing effect with their content, with the way they, articulate their values and they position themselves about what they stand for. Like, think about, what's going on in the world, like politically, like everyone loves to hate. Everyone loves to hate, and not that we want you or your brand to be like a hated brand and gain popularity in that respect. But when you draw a line in the sand, it allows other people to say, hey, I'm on that side of the line with you. And I really, align with that. And so owning your voice, stepping into your values, talking about what you actually believe and not like what you think people want to hear from you. Oh, that's hard. I know it's hard. But when you are clear on like who you actually are and what you actually stand for, and you start to talk about it instead of trying to create this like magical version of yourself that you think other people want from you, that version of you is going to be empty and hollow, and your vibe and your energy is not going to be there. And let me tell you, I lived that. It's not a fun place to be. So when you focus in on your message and the people you want to work with and people you want to talk to, that's where the magic happens. And when I finally stopped, just talking about contracts and just stopped talking about corporate law and started talking more about these things like sovereignty and self-leadership and, like rejecting traditional models, the momentum has grown and the right people are showing up. So basically, I just want to wrap this beautiful episode up today and remind you that entrepreneurship is not just about following someone else's path. It's about creating your own path, and a path that feels aligned with your life, that is in flow with your life, not something that you have to fight against every single day. So, we broke the rule that you have to work 24/7, that you have to, follow what's proven in your industry, and, that you have to appeal to everyone. Those rules are bullshit. They're outdated and we don't need them. So here's your challenge for today, for this week. What's one business rule that you're absolutely done following? Because you get to decide what works for you. This is about creating your own path. So DM me on Instagram at soul.attorney or drop it in the comments of today's episode. And I would love to hear what rules you are getting rid of and putting to rest, because sovereignty is your birthright, and it is time to create your life and your business on your own terms. So until next time, friends, stay sovereign. Oh, 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 oh. That's a wrap for this episode of Sovereign Conversations with the Soul Attorney. If today's conversation sparked something in you, let's keep that momentum going. Head on over to www.thesoulattorney.com to grab free resources, explore my membership community, The Cornerstone, and step even deeper into your power. And don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. Until next time, my friends, keep leading, keep trusting, and keep building your empire on your own terms. See you soon.